This will be part 4 of our teaching that we're doing on the rapture and the second coming. And again, I just need to mention this again, that they're two separate events. They're not one and the same. And that's if you really have that basic understanding that the rapture and the second coming, and again, the second coming actually term is not even in the scriptures as well, but the event itself is mentioned in the scriptures. And but the actual, because here's the difference again. For those that haven't heard the past sessions that I've done, but you know, the rapture itself, or the being caught up together with the Messiah, is that he's coming back for the believer, for his church, for believers that have either died before us or those that are alive on the earth at the time that he comes. He's coming back to catch us in the clouds to be with him, and so shall we ever be with Yahuwah. Now, at the time that at the end of the tribulation, he's coming back. Again, he's actually coming back to physically. His feet will actually touch on the Mount of Olives. It's actually his feet. He's coming actually to the earth, and the Scripture says in the book of Revelation, chapter 19, that we, as the saints of Yahuwah, will be coming back with him at that time. So they're two different events. There are two different events marked by about 7 years of time frame that's dividing the two, because you have what is referred to as Daniel's 70th week, where Yahuwah will finish dealing with the nation of Yasharel as far as their rebellion and their punishment for rebellion against Yahuwah. It's referred to as Jacob's trouble, or Jacob's trouble, and so they're two different events, separated, and they're two different purposes for their happenings. Again, the rapture is also what we refer to as the resurrection of those that have died before us and those that have that are alive and remain. These are believers in the Mashiach. These are the resurrection of those that have died and those that are alive on the earth. I want to finish reading in 1 Corinthians, then we're going to go over to back to 1 Thessalonians. And I left off in verse 52. Well, let me go back to 51. Paul said, "Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep or die, but we shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump or the shofar. For the trumpet or shofar shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, Death is swallowed up in victory." Wow. Isn't that amazing? Think about that. That once this event happens, you and I will never, ever face death again. We will never have that line before us. We will actually have passed from death unto life. Physically, spiritually, we've already passed from death unto life. If you received the Mashiach and are born of the Ruach HaKodesh, we have already passed from death unto life spiritually. But this event here is talking about the physical resurrection of the body. It's the part that Paul made reference to in the Romans chapter 8, said that we're waiting for the adoption to be complete, the redemption of our bodies. Now, I want to go over to 1 Thessalonians and go back to, we'll continue reading. Actually, let me start at verse 13. Paul again says, "Behold, I would not have you to be ignorant, brethren, concerning them that are asleep, or those that ever died, that you sorrow not even as others which have no hope. For if we believe that Yahushua died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Yahushua will Yahuwah bring with him. For this we say unto you by the word of Yahuwah, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of Yahushua shall not go before them which are asleep. For Yahushua himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, and with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of Yahuwah, or the shofar of Yahuwah, and the dead in Mashiach shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds. Notice this event happens, we shall be caught up together in the clouds to meet Yahusha in the air. So it's not at the earth, it's not his physical returning when he comes back at the end of the tribulation, when he will be returning at the end of the tribulation to actually to rescue Yasharel, who's being attacked at the battle of Armageddon, all the nations coming against Yasharel. Will Yahusha come to rescue them, and we will be coming back with them at that event. So this is a totally separate event which will take place in the air, where we will be caught up to meet Yahusha. So shall we ever be with Yahuwah. In verse 18, I love verse 18. Wherefore, comfort one another with these words. I am bringing comfort to you. If you're listening to my words and you're born of the Ruach HaKodesh, these words are meant to comfort you. Comfort you knowing that you and I will not have to go through this horrible time which is described as the tribulation period. Or it's a day of wrath, the scripture talks about. I've shared with you too, when the scripture talks about being a day of wrath, it's not talking about one 24-hour time frame. The day of wrath is talking about this 7-year time frame where the judgments of Yahuwah will be poured out upon an unbelieving, ungodly world that's rejected the Messiah, and you don't want to be here during that time frame. I pointed out to you also that there will be many people saved during that time, but there will also be many people who will perish. Actually, you know, the scripture talks about in the book of Revelation that actually about 2/3 of the population of the world will actually die during this 7-year time frame. So it's not a time frame that you want to be a part of. That's why Yahuwah is wanting us to be ready. That's why the Mashiach said to be ready, because you know because it will actually, the rapture itself will actually trigger this event of the tribulation period. Because at that point, once the rapture takes place, then the man of sin will be revealed, which we're going to get into this in our reading. Which is referred to as the Antichrist or the Anti-Mashiach, that he'll actually be able to be revealed in his time once this departure has taken place. Once the rapture has taken place, then the man of sin will be revealed, and then these judgments will begin to take place upon the earth during this time frame. We'll pick this up on our next session. We're going to get into the book of Revelation as well in our future sessions here, which you don't want to miss. We're going to clear up a lot of confusion that a lot of people have been involved in, because they've gotten different groups of people mixed up, and that's why there's this confusion here. But thank you for your time today. I love you. I really do. Yahuwah loves you. He really does. And we'll look forward to our time together on our next session. Shalom.